Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This Shabbos is a very special Shabbos. Shabbos Mivarchim Nisan, the Shabbos in which we bless the month of Nisan, the month of redemption. It says in Nisan we were redeemed, and Nisan we will in the future be redeemed. So God willing, we will be taken out of this exile very soon. It's this Shabbos that we read a special, unique Torah portion, and that is the Torah portion of the calendar, Shabbat Hachodesh. And so we read the Torah portion about Hachodesh Lachem Rosh Chodashim. It's the first mitzvah that was given to the Jewish people as a people. Not the first mitzvah in the Torah. The first mitzvah in the Torah is right in Genesis, Peru Revu, be fruitful and multiply and fill this world. But as a people, right before the Paschal Lamb, right before Passover, when the Jewish people are in the beginning process of being freed from slavery of Egypt, God gives them a commandment, and that is to follow the Jewish calendar. Until today, it's a commandment in which we keep, and everyone, no matter observant or secular or non-observant, are always looking at the Jewish calendar. When's Rosh Hashanah? When's Yom Kippur? When's a yard site? When's our birthday? When is Shabbat? This year's a leap year. This year's not a leap year. And all it comes down to this blessing. And so the question is, why is it that God gives the first mitzvah of a people, as a people, the mitzvah of calendar? I mean, there was nothing to follow yet. There was no holidays in the Torah. They didn't receive the Torah yet. So why was it so important? And the answer is we find through the process of the mitzvah of Rosh Lachem Rosh Chodashim, and that is that mitzvah. Today we have a fixed calendar, and the reason why we have a fixed calendar is because we don't have Beis Sanhedrin, and so the final about 80 years after the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, after the Holy Temple, there was a clandestine, a hidden Sanhedrin that got together, and they set up the calendar for the next 5,000 years, and that's the calendar that we have till today, and we follow every single day. If you don't have a calendar, you can email us, and we'll gladly send you one from the Rock Family Shul. But before that, how it worked was the process of blessing the new month was you actually had to go out and see the new moon. And so on every single lunar cycle versus a solar cycle, where the rest of the world follows a Gregorian calendar, it's a solar cycle of 365 days. We follow a lunar cycle, and that is the follow of the cycle of the moon. And the cycle of the moon is not exactly 30 days. A month is actually 29.55 days, 6 days. And so it's actually there's a half a day at the end of each 29th day, and you can't have a half a day Rosh Chodesh. That's why some months we have 2 days Rosh Chodesh, and sometimes we'll only have 1 day of Rosh Chodesh, which is called Malay, full, or Chaser, missing. And so on the 29th day, there would be someone that would go outside, and they would witness and see that a new moon has begun. And that is based on the eyesight of the sliver of the moon. Now, in reality, is they would go to a Jewish court, the Beit Din, and they would then solidify it as Rosh Chodesh, and then they would go on top of the mountain and they would make a big fire and let the whole Israel know that it's Rosh Chodesh. That's actually why in diaspora we have 2 days. We're going to have 2 seders in America, and Israel only have 1 seder, because in Israel they got to know that time right away. When they made that big fire on top of Jerusalem, there was someone waiting to see that fire on top of Hebron, on top of Tveria, on top of Tzfat, and the whole Israel be notified in 1 day. They didn't have WhatsApp or emails back then. But in Babylonia, it would take another whole day of mountain to mountain for that message until they got there. And that's why with Babylonia, it was 1 day later, they celebrate 2 days. The day which they celebrated in Israel and the day in which they celebrate in exile. And so because of that, it has become a custom that we have 2 days of holidays, whereas in Israel they have 1 day. But nevertheless, let's go back to the process. And so somebody would go out and they would witness that a new moon began. And they go to the court and they realize that the new moon has begun. But what happens is that the next day they saw that they made a mistake. It's all human error. It's all based on human eyesight. They didn't have a calendar like we have today. And so they saw that they made a mistake. The new moon actually hasn't begun. It's still the end of the new moon. And they celebrated Rosh Chodesh on the wrong day. And the problem with that is let's say it's the first of Tishrei. You celebrated Rosh Hashanah on the wrong day. You celebrate Passover on the wrong day. Every single day becomes the wrong day. What did we do? And the answer is there's no such thing as wrong day. Because when we make something holy, when we are able to make time holy, when we make the established time, that's what it is. Not based on the calendar, but by us making it holy. And that's what that's what Hashem tells us. Hashem says, Hachodesh Hazem Lo Rosh Chodashim, that this month is for you. We are the ones that can actually control our time, not let time control us. And that is why God gives us this mitzvah as the first mitzvah to the Jewish people. We have to know that time is very precious, and time can't control us. We need to be able to control our time. And I think over the last years, we're now literally a year since COVID began. COVID was a time which really shocked the world and stalled time. Everybody's meetings and travel plans and emergencies became a non-issue. And we started to able to focus on what's important in life and how we're able to control our own time, learning and davening. But now we're coming out of COVID. Thank God for many people already vaccinated, and shuls are starting to fill up, and people are starting to move, and businesses are opening. It's a time where we have to still remember that silver lining of being able to be controlling of our time. And as long as we can control our time and not let time control us, then God will give us the ultimate redemption. Before the month of Nisan already, we read this Torah portion because to become truly free at the Seder is only for able to be in control of our own time. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and see you tonight.